Everyone was stunned by this loud bang. Everyone looked in the direction where the loud bang had come from. They saw rocks rolling down from a small mountain peak in the distance, emitting black smoke. It was obvious that many talismans had exploded. Everyone was shocked. Who had done this? Just as everyone was feeling bewildered, a soft child's voice said, "A bunch of idiots. The nightmare race has just stopped, and you're already killing each other. Is that a head or a bun on your neck?" Following the voice, a large chopping board flew over from afar. On it stood a little girl that was carved out of jade. However, the expression on her face was very cold, causing people to subconsciously ignore that it was just a little girl. Everyone looked at it and cursed. Wasn't this bad news, Yun Chujo? Didn't they say that she was missing? Where did she come from? Moreover, she actually said that they were all idiots and that there was a bun on their necks. How dare she? Was she crazy? Master Bailey and Master Zaihu's expressions were also very ugly. They were already filled with anger. Now that Yun Chujia's words were like adding oil to a fire, they naturally didn't have any good expressions. Master Bailey took a deep breath and said, "Yun Chujio, seeing that you are young and ignorant, I will not pursue your crime of speaking without rhyme or reason. Your spiritual power is too low, why don't you hurry back to the primordial chaos sect?" At this time, Yun Chujio had already flown above the crowd. This guy was sitting on the chopping board and did not jump down. She snorted slightly and said, "My identity is a bit special. Do you think I am a member of the primordial chaos sect or the murderous sect? When you fight, do I still have to stare with my left eye and right eye, hit my right hand with my left hand and kick my right foot with my left foot?" Master Bailey paused for a moment, then he said, "Since your identity is special, don't get involved in the matters of our two sections. Moreover, you're just a small inner sect disciple. How can you have the right to speak? Why don't you hurry back to the Chaos Origin sect?" Sigh. "We can't go back. You guys probably don't know, right? It was because you idiots were instigated by others to sow discord, and then began to rebel against each other. Taking advantage of the critical moment when you guys went crazy here, the Divine Devil Hall has already occupied the Chaos Origin sect and the Murder Origin sect. Now, you guys could fight to your heart's content. After all, there was no sect left. It would be better if all of you were dead." That's right. Even if all of you were not dead, when the Nightmare Clan and the Divine Devil Hall joined forces, you guys would still be dead. Sooner or later, you guys would have to die. You guys might as well fight in pairs, just strangle each other to death." Yun Chujio said coldly while hugging her shoulders. What? The Chaos Origin sect and the Killing Origin sect had already been taken over by the Divine Devil Hall? Could they really have fallen into the Divine Devil Hall's scheme? Master Bailey and Master Zaihu's faces immediately turned pale. Their bodies were drenched in cold sweat. Both of them took out their voice transmission talismans and trembled as they sent voice transmission talismans to the people left behind. "Master Bailey, Zhua, Mountain Master Zhua, are you still alive? The Chaos Origin sect has really been taken over by the Divine Devil Hall?" Mountain Master Zhua was confused. "Sect Master, what are you talking about? The Chaotic Origin clan is as usual. How are things over there?" Master Bailey, Mountain Master Xiaoho, Mountain Master Zhao, are you still breathing? The Killing Origin clan has really been taken over by the Divine Demon Hall? The lively Mountain Master Zhao, Sect Master, are you cursing me? Don't you see the people from the Divine Demon Hall? Has the victor been decided? Master Xiaoho. Master Bailey and Master Xiaoho let out a long sigh. Then, their faces turned ashen. This Yun Chujio was going to fly into the sky. Fuck, alright, she's floating in the sky now. The two of them gritted their teeth and looked at Hei Xinjiu in the sky almost at the same time. Yun Chujio, how dare you lie to us? What are your intentions? Yun Chujio said unhurriedly, are you angry? Why do you sound like you want what I said to be true? Do you want the Divine Devil Hall to occupy the Chaos Origin sect and the Killing Origin sect? Master Bailey and Master Xiahou were insulted. Of course, they did not mean it that way. They were only tricked by He Xingjiu for a moment. Alright, you guys should hurry back to your respective sects now. Otherwise, what I said will immediately become true. You guys aren't 3-year-old children. Can't you see the tricks behind it? Little Bailey, little Xiahou, you guys can be considered to have known each other for many years. Don't you know each other? Would either of you make such a stupid decision to kill each other's disciples? As long as the Primordial Murder sect and the Primordial Chaos sect went to war, there would be no absolute victory between the two of you, only mutual destruction. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you now. Little Bailey and little Xiahou, you can stay. I have something to tell you. The rest of you, quickly scram back to your respective sects. If you continue to dawdle, you will be the sinners of the Primordial Chaos sect and the Primordial Murder sect, the sinners of the Immortal Origin continent. The sinners of the human race. Hurry up and scram. Whoever finds a fucking reason not to go back now, or insists that the other party is the murderer, blah, 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 he is a spy of the Divine Devil Hall. I will kill him now. Yun Chujia's little face was as cold as ice, her eyes were full of murderous intent. Everyone was somewhat dumbfounded. Firstly, they were shocked by the content of Yun Chujia's words, and secondly, it was because of Yun Chujia's high and mighty tone. Little Bailey? Little Xiahou? What kind of pretense was she putting on? Yun Chujio gave Alliance Master Yen a look. Alliance Master Yen nodded his head in confusion and quickly came forward to say, "Two sect masters, what little Jiao said makes sense. No matter what, you should let your people return to the sect first. Even if you want to fight to the death, it doesn't have to be today. If you really let the Divine Devil Hall take advantage of it, that would be terrible." In fact, when Master Bailey and Master Xiahou had been persuaded by Alliance Master Yen, they had already wavered. They were not fools. They always felt that the recent events were somewhat inexplicable. However, there were too many voices calling for a fight around them. In addition to the long-standing grudges, they had braced themselves to fight. The two of them looked at each other and snorted coldly. They ordered to return to the sect first. Wait. Martial nephew Xiahou, don't tell me that you've been persuaded by this little girl with just a few words. Not only did the Primordial Chaos sect kill hundreds of our disciples, they also poisoned the 4 of us. Are we just going to let it go? Are we going to swallow our anger and swallow our anger? Are we going to return with our tails between our legs? Master Xiahou looked at the person who spoke with a troubled expression and said, "Martial Uncle Gue, although Yun Chujia's attitude isn't good, she's right. If the Divine Devil Hall takes advantage of this, we are simply the sinner of the Primordial Chaos sect. As for the Primordial Chaos sect, there will be plenty of time in the future. We will not let this matter go so easily. Sooner or later, we will seek justice." Elder Gue snorted, "There will be plenty of time in the future. If we go back like this, there is no guarantee that our disciples will not be assassinated again. Moreover, that wretched girl is not from the Divine Devil Hall. She said that the Divine Devil Hall will take advantage of the situation and take advantage of it." When the people of the Shi Yuan sect heard Elder Gui's words, they became restless again. Master Xiaohu's face showed a troubled expression. Although he was the leader of a sect, the hearts of the people were with him. If he went against them, he might cause trouble. Elder Gui's eyes flashed with pride. So what if Xiahou Lin was the leader? At the crucial moment, his words did not count. "Little Yen, bring some men and kill him." Yun Chujio stood on the chopping board and said coldly. "Little Yen? Who was Little Yen? Who was Yun Chujio calling? Also, who was she going to kill? Could it be that she was going to kill Elder Gui? What a joke! Yen Zhengdao, did you not hear what I said? I said before that whoever deliberately tried to sow discord would be someone from the Divine Demon Hall. As the Grand Elder of the Murder Origin sect, that old man didn't try to cause trouble, but instead, started it. One look and you could tell that he wasn't a good person. Kill him. What are you looking at me for? You're the Alliance Master of the Heaven's Legacy Alliance. The Alliance Master is already sullen enough to do this to you. If you don't want people to be plunged into misery and the Immortal Essence Continent to be destroyed in an instant, then kill him for me. Yun Chujo pointed at Alliance Master Yen and said. Alliance Master Yen, little Yen? He was the Grand Alliance Master of the Sky-Bearing Alliance and his name was Little Yen? What a joke. Besides, although he was the Alliance Master of the Sky-Bearing Alliance, he didn't dare to kill the Grand Elder of the Murder Yuan sect in public. Wasn't this going against the Murder Yuan sect? Elder Guei was stunned at first, then he looked at Yun Chujo viciously and said, Yun Chujo, you're just an inner disciple, how can you spout nonsense here? I will kill you today to clean up the sect. As Elder Guei spoke, he summoned his immortal sword and flew towards Yun Chujo. His purpose was obvious, he wanted to kill Yun Chujo. What happened? Am I right? You are a spy of the Divine Devil Hall. What poison, it was all self-made and self-acted by you. Now you want to kill me when you are desperate. Dream on. Do you think everyone is a fool? Can't you see your true colors? Yun Chujo shouted as she placed the chopping board next to Master Bailey. She didn't believe that Master Bailey would just watch her be slapped to death. Sure enough, Master Bailey blocked Elder Guei. Elder Guei looked at Yun Chujo who was hiding behind Master Bailey and gritted his teeth. Ignorant Junior, today I will make the decision to expel you from the murderous Yuan sect. If you ever step into the murderous Yuan sect again, I will kill you without mercy. Who are you calling a junior? You are the fucking junior. I am your ancestor. Yun Chujo pointed at Elder Guei with one hand on her waist and said. Everyone looked at Yun Chujo who was not even as tall as Master Bailey's waist and felt that it was both infuriating and ridiculous. This little girl must be crazy. Yun Chujo saw that Master Bailey, Master Xiaoho, and Alliance Master Yen did not move, so she gritted her teeth. She took out 2 simple rings from her storage ring. I was originally very low-key. I didn't want to expose my hidden identity. Since you guys are so disobedient, I, the little ancestor, can only go online. Take a look at what this is. These are the sect leader rings of the Primordial Chaos sect and the Murderous Origin sect that my 2 masters passed on to me. I am the last disciple of Patriarch Yuan Tian and Patriarch Hong Yuan. There was a dead silence at first, and then there was an uproar. Ha! That troublemaker is really crazy. She is the last disciple of Patriarch Yuan Tian and Patriarch Hong Yuan. Damn, I am dying of laughter. Exactly, this troublemaker is really greedy. One is not enough, but she is the last disciple of 2 patriarchs. Does she still have any face? She isn't even a successor disciple now, and she said she is the last disciple of 2 patriarchs. She is really shameless. She got 2 broken rings and said she is the last disciple of 2 patriarchs. Does she think we are all idiots? And Lin Chuan moved to Yun Chujia's side and tugged at her. He said in a low voice, Junior sister Xiaojiu, stop fooling around. If this matter is blown up, there will be no way to end it. Yun Chujiu glanced at him. 19th generation grand disciple, get lost. And Lin Chuan, this guy must have possessed some acting talent, right? 19th generation grand disciple. She had a pretty good calculation. Master Bailey and Master Xiaoho stared at the ring on Yun Chujia's hand and turned pale with fright. Although they had never seen the sect leader's ring, they had seen the design of the sect leader's ring. This was exactly the same as what was recorded in the sect's annals. Yun Chujiu handed the ring to the 2 of them generously. Little Xiaoho, little Bailey, take a look for yourself and see if this is the sect leader's ring. Sigh. If I had to say, it was my 2 masters who had a brilliant plan. This time, I was accidentally tricked by a treacherous person. After my two masters saved me, they told me that I must promote the harmonious coexistence between the two sects. They were originally brothers, but they fought for such a long time because of a moment of anger. They were simply too stupid. They even taught me the songs that they had composed together. I'll sing it for you to listen to. The rolling Yangtze River flows eastward, and the waves wash away the heroes. Right and wrong, success or failure, the Green Mountains are still there, and a few sunsets are red, although everyone thought that Yunchujo sounded like she was speaking the truth, and her singing sounded very serious, but how was this possible? Would the two patriarchs really accept her as their last disciple? Elder Guei stared at the ring on Master Xiaohu's hand. He snorted coldly. Yunchujo. None of us here have seen the sect master's ring. How can we prove that the ring you took out is real? Maybe you copied it according to the records in the sect's annals. And that song was weird. Maybe you made it up. Made it up. I met two masters on Mount Budian. It's a pity that my two masters have seen through the mortal world and refuse to come out with me no matter what. Otherwise, why would I let you, a bastard, jump around here? I would have killed you long ago. However, my two masters have opened my 8 extraordinary meridians and 720 acupoints in my body. I am now at the first level of the spiritual void tier. Take a look if you don't believe me. Everyone saw that the level of the spiritual energy in Hei Xinjia's body soared rapidly. Very soon, she had changed from the 6th level of the spiritual profound tier to the 1st level of the spiritual void tier. Everyone was in an uproar. My God! Yunchujo is most likely telling the truth. Otherwise, how could a person's spiritual energy have improved so much in just a few days? That's right, in the entire world, only Patriarch Yuan Tian and Patriarch Hung Yuan have such abilities. Previously, that Yunchujo went missing for so many days, perhaps she really fell into the secret realm of the Budian Mountain. It is said that the two patriarchs did indeed enter the Budian Mountain in the end. Master Bailey and Master Xiaohu also believed 70% of it. They felt that although Yunchujo was not interesting, she still did not have the courage to tell such a big lie. Elder Guei's face was gloomy. A sudden increase in spiritual power might not be a fortuitous encounter. I heard that the Divine Devil Hall has a pill that can allow people to increase their spiritual power in a short period of time. Could it be that you have been missing for so many days, but in fact, you have joined the Divine Devil Hall? Just as Elder Guei finished speaking, some people started to jeer, saying that Yunchujo was lying, that she was from the Divine Devil Hall and so on. Are you out of your mind? Even if you want to frame me, you have to find a more reliable reason. Your Divine Devil Hall can't wait to burn my bones and scatter my ashes. How can you bribe me? I'm too lazy to waste my time with you. Aren't you just trying to stall for time so that your Divine Devil Hall can take over the Chaos Origin Sect and the Murder Origin Sect? Fortunately, my divine plan has already brought a witness. Well, to be exact, it's evidence. Yunchujo raised her chin and said proudly. Witness? Corroborating evidence? Everyone was dumbfounded. How could there be a witness? Other than the two ancestors, how could there be a witness? Elder Guei revealed a contemptuous expression. This Yunchujo was simply spouting nonsense. It was impossible for her to have a witness. As long as he insisted that the two sect leader rings were fake, regardless of the final outcome, he could at least delay for a period of time. By then, he would have succeeded. Clang! Clang! After 2 loud bangs, a stone pai xiao and a stone lion were placed in front of everyone by Yunchujo. Everyone cried out in surprise. Oh my God, isn't this the guardian stone beast of their primordial chaos sect? Fuck! It really is a real proof. How did he get this bad news bag? Tell them, are my 2 sect leader rings real or not? Yunchujo placed her small hands behind her back and said pretentiously. Sure, Pishio said eagerly, of course it's real. They are all blind. They can't even recognize the sect leader ring. Sure, Lion echoed, that's right. Who can imitate such a high-class ring? Besides, we can testify that this sect leader ring is real. This little fairy is your ancestor. Everyone, what exactly did Yun Chujiu do to these two stone beasts? Why didn't they look like Pai Xiao and the lion, but more like pugs? However, with the testimony of the guardian stone beasts, everyone finally believed Yun Chujiu's words. It seemed that she was indeed the last disciple of the two ancestors. Little Dong, little Nan, I order you to capture this Guei. I want to interrogate him. Yun Chujiu pointed at Guei and ordered. The stone Pai Xiao and the stone lion rarely had the chance to show their skills. Hearing Yun Chujiu's order, they immediately threw themselves at Guei. Although they were stone beasts, their spiritual power was higher than that of everyone present. Otherwise, He Xinjiu would not have used sweet words to lure these two to help. Yun Chujiu blinked her eyes. Little Xia Ho, little Bai Li, little Yen, don't just stand there. Attack together. Finish the battle as soon as possible. The three little generation looked at each other, smiled bitterly, and then joined the battle. At first, Elder Guei still quibbled, but later, he was forced to the point that he had no strength to fight back. He could only grit his teeth and persevere with an ashen face. Seeing that things were not going well, his eyes flashed and he had just bit his finger when he heard Yun Chujiu stretching her neck and shouting, he wants to use the secret technique of the resurrection lily. Don't let him succeed. Sure, Pixiu gave Elder Guei's spiritual energy shield a claw and the spiritual energy shield was instantly broken. The stone lion did not want to be outdone and opened its bloody mouth towards Elder Guei's head. Elder Guei was so scared that he hurriedly dodged. Behind him, Master Bailey gave him a palm strike on his back. In less than 15 minutes, Elder Guei's spiritual energy was restrained and he was brought in front of Yun Chujiu. Little Xia Ho, don't talk nonsense with him. Just use the soul-searching technique. Don't worry, he is already half dead. He can't resist your soul-searching technique. Master Xiaoho saw that Elder Guei wanted to use the secret technique of the resurrection lily, so he no longer doubted Yun Chujiu's words. He immediately used the soul-searching technique on Elder Guei. Unfortunately, as soon as Master Xiaoho's spiritual sense entered, Elder Guei bled to death from all 7 orifices. Apparently, Elder Guei's spiritual soul was forbidden. While everyone was stunned, Yun Chujiu put her little paws on her back and said with her little legs, that's enough. The most important thing now is to hurry back to the sect. As for the other matters, I have my own arrangements. My ancestor. Everyone felt a bit of a headache when they heard this title. However, what this fellow said was not wrong. She was really their ancestor. Master Bailey and Master Xiaoho did not have the mood to think too much about whether this ancestor was their ancestor or not. They immediately brought their own people back to the sect. Alliance Master Yen thought for a moment and asked the people of the Sky-bearing Alliance to station outside the Primordial Chaos sect. He then followed Master Bailey into the Primordial Chaos sect. The reason why Alliance Master Yen chose the Primordial Chaos sect was very simple. Before the ancestor left, he said to him, Little Yen, follow me to the Primordial Chaos sect. When I investigate the matter, you will also be a witness. Alliance Master Yen recalled the first time he met Yun Chujiu. At that time, the little girl was very obedient. He did not expect that she would turn into a little ancestor who was posturing. It was simply a trick of fate. After arriving at the mountain gate of the Hunyuan sect, Yun Chujiu did not put down the stone Pai Xiu. This fellow was very shrewd. She was afraid that someone would find trouble with her if they were not satisfied. With these 2 stone beasts, she would at least have more protection. Anyway, there was still one at the gate. She would just treat it as a shift for them. As He Xinjiu had a high seniority, this fellow was the first to enter the sect on a giant rabbit. Everyone followed behind her with a conflicted expression. As soon as everyone entered the mountain gate, Mountain Master Zhua, Mountain Master An, and the others came out to welcome them. Mountain Master and saw Yun Chuzhou on top of the giant rabbit. He immediately shouted sternly, Yun Chuzhou. Why are you, a mere inner sect disciple, walking in front of the sect master and alliance master Yen? Also, the disciple on duty reported that you kidnapped a stone Pishio. Aren't you going to hand it over quickly? Mountain Master and had always been biased against Yun Chuzhou. He felt that it was because of her that An Linchuan had always been against him. Although he had improved a little later on, he still felt a little displeased. Yun Chuzhou sat on the giant rabbit and glanced at Mountain Master and, Little An, why are you talking to me? 19th generation great disciple, An Linchuan, come here. How should we punish our Hunyuan sect for disrespecting our elders? An Linchuan's heart was on the verge of collapse. Junior sister Little Jiu, no, Little Jiu, I know that you are venting your anger for me, but can we not do this? That is my biological father. Master Bailey was afraid that Yun Chuzhou would stir up any more trouble. He quickly said from the side, Mountain Master and, Mountain Master Zhua, Little Jiu, Little Yun is the last disciple of forefather Yuan Tian and forefather Hong Yuan, so he should be ahead of us. Mountain Master and, Mountain Master Zhua, the people behind them, this world was so wonderful. In just half a day, this bad news bag had turned from a thief who stole the stone Pishio into their little ancestor Yun. Sect Master, how is this possible? Have we been deceived by her again? Mountain Master and said with a dumbfounded expression. She has the Sect Master rings of the two forefathers in her hands, and it has been verified by the guardian stone beast. It is indeed true. Master Bailey said. Master Bailey was also very helpless, okay? He was also very confused, okay? Who would want such a little ancestor to suddenly appear? And it was the kind of ancestor who would stir up trouble every few days. Forget it. This ancestor is magnanimous, I won't argue with you juniors. Well, this ancestor has been running around for half a day and is very tired. This ancestor will go back to the sleeping hall to rest first, you guys play by yourselves. Tomorrow morning, I'll give you guys a lecture. After Hei Xinjiu said that, she rode on the giant rabbit and disappeared without a trace. The messy crowd in the wind, sleeping palace? You fucking call a broken courtyard a sleeping palace? They play by themselves. Lecture. This guy was so smug that he wanted to stand shoulder to shoulder with the sun. Although everyone felt that Hei Xinjia's smug look deserved a beating, when they thought of their reckless actions this time, their faces burned. Although they were not 100% sure that this incident was caused by the Divine Devil Hall, there was a 90% chance that they had fallen into a trap. It was simply too embarrassing. On the other side, Hei Xinjiu had just entered the courtyard when she saw Meng Yanshou leading the other 4 rabbits in the courtyard to obediently stand in a line to welcome her. Little Fairy, it's great that you've returned safely. I knew that Little Fairy would be blessed with great fortune and good fortune. Shall definitely be fine, Meng Yanshou came over and said eagerly. Yun Chuzhou glanced at it. I wasn't here during this period of time. You didn't do anything good, right? Meng Yanshou shook its head guiltily. Little Fairy, I've already changed my ways. Besides, I'm a woman now. Why would I peep at a female disciple taking a bath? After Meng Yanshou finished speaking, Sanbin's mouth twitched. Oh no. There was no silver here. Yun Chuzhou kicked Meng Yanshou away. You dumbass. Looks like I have to turn you into a toad, or else you'll always be a hoodlum, a rabbit. Meng Yanshou almost lost half of his life from the kick. He said with a trembling voice, Little Fairy, I can make up for it. I didn't peep at you bathing for nothing, I've made a big discovery. Yun Chuzhou squinted her eyes. What big discovery? Meng Yanshou laughed a few times, then he said, recently, when we peeked at the female disciples taking a bath, we also watched a few hot and passionate performances. From their conversation, we learned that a few of them were spies from the Divine Devil Hall. Yun Chuzhou was stunned. She didn't ask why Meng Yanshou didn't tell Master Bailey and the others about this information. The reason was very simple. If Meng Yanshou were to rashly inform them, Master Bailey might not believe it. Most likely, these rabbits would be silenced, and Meng Yanshou's identity would be exposed. Meng Yanshou was very smart. Naturally, it wouldn't do such a stupid thing. Tell me, what did they say? Who are they? Damn it! Why didn't you come find me for so long? I missed you so much. Shut up. Tell me the main point. Yun Chujiu was so angry that she wanted to kick Meng Yanshou to death. This guy was getting more and more wretched. Meng Yanshou smiled embarrassedly and quickly told her the important things. After saying that, he took credit for it to Yun Chujiu. Little fairy, I told you that I was spying on them and watching them take a bath. You didn't believe me. Now do you believe me? Yun Chujiu didn't have time to pay attention to it. She told Master Bailey the names of the people that Meng Yanshou told her through the identity jade token. She told him to immediately control these people and interrogate them. She thought for a moment and asked Master Bailey to arrest Lu Shun again. This time, she was in a dangerous situation. It must be Lu Shun's doing. After Yun Chujiu finished giving her instructions, she placed the stone Pai Xiu behind the courtyard and the stone lion in front of the courtyard. Then, she let Meng Yanshou lead a few rabbits to patrol. After that, she washed up briefly and sat on the headboard to ponder about this matter. Actually, it wasn't the right time to expose her identity. After all, she was only at the first layer of the spiritual void tier, and her strength was still too weak. However, if she hadn't revealed her identity at that time, it would have been difficult to stop the conflict between the two factions. It seemed that she would have to be extra careful in the future. This was also why she kept calling her ancestors so high profile. As more people paid attention to her, those who wanted to make a move would have to be wary. Just as Yun Chujiu was pondering over it, the Meng Yanshou came in eagerly. Little fairy, I've asked De Zhuang and the others to keep an eye on it. Let me have a chat with you. Yun Chujiu was well aware of the Meng Yanshou's purpose. It must be that the female rabbit's body was inconvenient to use, so it took the opportunity to beg her. Sure enough, the Meng Yanshou rambled on for a while, then said slyly, Little fairy, I've done a meritorious deed this time. Can you help me change the male rabbit's shell? Yun Chujiu glanced at it. Those are all male rabbits. It'll give you the body of a female rabbit. Won't it be convenient for you to communicate with each other? Meng Yanshou suddenly felt that the world was spinning. Oh God, this black-hearted little girl was so vicious. She actually wanted those stupid rabbits to take away its tens of thousands of years of virginity. Oh God, she was the most vicious woman. Meng Yanshou revealed a sorrowful and indignant expression. Little fairy, I didn't think that you were actually such a little fairy. To think that I was afraid for you. To think that I couldn't eat or sleep well because of your disappearance. You actually treated me like this. I don't want to live anymore. Meng Yanshou was about to hit the wall and commit suicide when Yun Chujiu faintly said, You hit it. I can help you change into a toad's shell. Meng Yanshou, damn it. He couldn't live anymore. No wonder Sheng Zun, that 10,000-year-old single dog, was trapped by her. This guy simply ate people without spitting out their bones. Meng Yanshou squeezed out a smile. Little fairy, I was just joking. By the way, you have been missing for such a long time. Where did you go? Yun Chujiu didn't go against Meng Yanshou this time. She simply told him what happened. Back then, after Yun Chujiu entered the library, she took the jade token that Lu Shun had given her and placed it in the groove at the entrance of the second floor. She had thought that she would be teleported to the second floor of the library. Who would have thought that a blinding white light would come? When Yun Chujiu regained her sight, she realized that she was in the middle of a raging fire. Fortunately, she had the fire-repelling pearl. Otherwise, she would have been burned to ashes by now. She looked around and found that she was in the middle of a volcano, surrounded by boiling lava. While Yun Chujiu was watching, the little flame impatiently jumped out of her right palm and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yun Chujiu knew that the little flame must have gone to look for the fire marrow. Usually, there would be fire marrow in places with volcanoes, but the difference was the age. Yun Chujo finally climbed out of the volcano after a long time. A few days later, when the little flame was full, she left the volcano. After walking for a few days, she finally met a few cultivators when she arrived at a valley. Yun Chujo quickly rode the giant rabbit to the front of those people and asked about this place. Unexpectedly, those cultivators looked at each other and then revealed a malicious look. "Little girl, where are your parents? Did you get separated from your family?" Yun Chujo blinked her big eyes. "Yes. I'm lost. Can you uncles take me out of here and help me find my parents?" "Of course. As long as you are obedient, I'll give you candy." A cultivator with a pointy mouth and monkey cheeks handed Yun Chujo an oil paper bag. Yun Chujo happily took the oil paper bag and said with a smile, "Well, little flower likes candy the most." The few of them revealed a smile of success. This little girl was too gullible. However, what did a 3 or 4-year-old little girl know? This little girl was so pretty. If she was sold in a furnace, a tripod, or a restaurant, she would definitely fetch a good price. Yun Chujo ate the sugar balls and followed the few cultivators out of the valley. "Uncles, why haven't you found my father and mother?" Hei Shinjo tilted her head and asked anxiously. "Little girl, we will take you to the city to find your father and mother. You will see them soon." The man with the pointy mouth and monkey cheeks said perfunctorily. Yun Chujo nodded gratefully. "You are really good people. Good people will be rewarded. I heard that if you do something bad, you will be struck by lightning. Please don't do anything bad." Those few people curled their lips. Struck by lightning? If they were struck by lightning after doing something bad, they would have died hundreds of times. Boom! A bolt of lightning descended from the sky and struck the monkey-faced man. Although he was not seriously injured, it almost scared him to death. The faces of the few of them turned pale. Could it be that they were really going to suffer retribution? No, this must be a coincidence. They were about to enter the city. As long as they made a move on this child, they would be able to obtain tens of thousands of high-grade spirit stones. At worst, they could just finish this job and quit in the future. In the end, greed triumphed over fear, and the few of them brought Yun Chujo into the city. Yun Chujo pondered in her heart. Her crow's mouth skill was sometimes effective and sometimes not. So far, she had not found the reason. What exactly was the reason for it? When she came back to her senses, the few of them had already brought her to a place called Spring Joy Restaurant. The corner of Yun Chujo's eyes twitched. Furnace, cauldron, and restaurant. Wasn't this the brothel in the eyes of cultivators? Were they planning to sell her here? The madam was a gorgeous woman. When she saw Yun Chujo's appearance, she was immediately stunned and returned to normal in an instant. Others did not notice the change in the woman's expression, but Hei Shinjo saw it clearly. Her heart thumped. Could she be a member of the Divine Devil Hall? The woman bargained with those people and finally bought Yun Chujo for 30,000 high-grade spirit stones. Yun Chujo looked at the backs of those cultivators and her eyes flashed. She had already poisoned their food. These people would not live past tonight. "Little girl, where are you from? Did you get lost with your parents?" Lin Yang asked in a gentle tone. Yun Chujo saw that there was a probing look in her eyes, but there was no malice. She thought of something and said, "My maternal family is the Mo family of Fengli City in the Western continent. It was because of my mischievousness that I got lost with them." "The Mo family of Fengli City? You said you are a member of the Mo family of Fengli City?" Lin Yang suddenly raised her voice. Yun Chujo blinked her big eyes and asked curiously, "Aunt, do you know me?" Lin Yang was obviously lost in her own thoughts and ignored Yun Chujo's question. After a while, she muttered to herself, "Impossible. They don't match at this age. Could it be? Little girl, your mother." "No, what's your grandfather's name?" Lin Yang asked nervously. Mo Cheng. My great-grandfather's name is Mo Shouting. Yun Chuzhou replied crisply. Lin Yang immediately revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. It's really Sister Lan's granddaughter. This means that her daughter really didn't die. Yun Chujia's heart skipped a beat. Sister Lan. Did this Lin Yang know her mother? Since Lin Yang said that she really didn't die, then there must be something else going on. Her mother must have said something to her. Could it be that Lin Yang was her mother's friend? Yun Chuzhou was faintly excited. Could it be that her mother was not dead? Yun Chuzhou pretended to be curious and asked, Aunt, who is Sister Lan? Is she Xiaohua's grandmother? Lin Yang came back to her senses and said perfunctorily, Nothing, you are called Xiaohua. Don't call me aunt, call me. Lin Yang was very troubled. Could it be that she wanted this little guy to call her aunt? Could it be that aunt wants me to call you elder sister? Aunt is so young and beautiful, you can also call me elder sister. Hei Xinzhou tilted her little head and suddenly said with big eyes. There was no woman who did not like being praised for being young and beautiful. Lin Yang was coaxed by Yun Chuzhou until she could not close her mouth. Then call me aunt. Little girl, what are the names of your mother and father? When did your mother return to the Mo residence? After Lin Yang finished speaking, she felt that it was inappropriate to ask. This little girl was only 3 or 4 years old. How could she possibly know how her mother returned to the Mo residence? Unexpectedly, the little girl said crisply, My mother's name is Yun Chuzhou. My father's name is Di Baiming. My mother was brought back by the Mo family. I heard my mother say that my grandmother's name is Yi Lan. The sister Lan you mentioned must be my grandmother, right? My mother never believed that my grandmother was dead. It seems that my grandmother is really still alive. That's great. Lin Yang was stunned by Yun Chujia's words. Was this a 3 or 4-year-old child? She was practically a demon. However, Sister Lan was such a brilliant person. It was understandable that her granddaughter was so smart. Aunt, where is my grandmother? Take Xiaohua to see her. Yun Chuzhou held Lin Yang's hand with her little claws and begged. Lin Yang's eyes reddened. She squatted down and hugged Hei Xinzhou. She sobbed and said, Your grandmother has been taken away. You will probably never see her again. Yun Chuzhou narrowed her eyes. Was she taken away? Didn't she say she was dead? Why was she taken away again? Although Yun Chuzhou really wanted to reveal her identity, she felt that it was better to observe and make sure that Lin Yang was reliable. Lin Yang wanted to post the missing person notice but was stopped by Yun Chuzhou. Auntie, my mother and father have many enemies. If they know that I'm here, we will all die. I have my own way to contact them. Auntie, don't worry. Lin Yang saw that she was a shrewd person, so she let her be. In the next few days, Yun Chuzhou stayed at Chuanxi House. Only then did Yun Chuzhou know that the place she was at was over 1,000,000 miles away from the primordial chaos sect, and it was very remote. No wonder Lin Yang did not have any reaction when she heard her name. One had to know that, she, Yun Chuzhou, could be considered a big figure now. Lin Yang cared about Yun Chuzhou very much. Yun Chuzhou tried to get information from her several times, but Lin Yang rejected her because she was too young. She said that she could only tell her when her mother came. Yun Chuzhou, damn it. She had dug a hole for herself. There was no other way. After a few days, when Yun Chuzhou found out that Lin Yang was really reliable, she revealed her identity. Of course, Lin Yang didn't believe it at first. How could a living person turn into a little girl? Yun Chuzhou could only briefly explain what happened after she returned to the Mo family and how she became the Yi family's daughter-in-law. After a lot of proof, Lin Yang finally believed Yun Chujia's words. Aunt Li, don't be angry with me. I've offended too many people, so I have to be careful, Yun Chuzhou said in a flattering manner. Lin Yang patted her little head and sighed, "You're smart. You're indeed Sister Lan's daughter." Yun Chujiu then asked, "Aunt Li, what exactly happened back then?" "Everyone in the Mo family said that my mother died of illness. However, when I discovered that the grave had been stolen, I had some doubts in my heart." "Humph. How could those idiots from the Mo family be a match for Sister Lan?" "Sister Lan merely used a golden cicada to escape from her shell. Sister Lan had taken a medicine that could cause a state of suspended animation. After she was buried, I waited until everyone had left before I rescued your mother." Yun Chujiu saw that Lin Yang's face was filled with admiration like a fangirl. The corners of her eyes twitched. She did not expect Lin Yang to be her mother's little fangirl. "Aunt Li, I still don't understand. Why did my mother marry Mo Cheng?" Lin Yang looked at Yun Chujiu worriedly. "Little Jiu, there's something you might not know. You're actually not Mo Cheng's child." Lin Yang was afraid that Yun Chujiu would suffer a blow. Even if Mo Cheng was no longer a thing, he was still much better than an illegitimate daughter. Unexpectedly, Yun Chujiu clapped happily. "Really? That was simply too good. I was wondering how that bastard could be my father. Then why did my mother marry Mo Cheng? Who on earth is my father? To be able to give birth to such a smart and intelligent daughter like me with my mother, he must be very powerful." The corner of Lin Yang's mouth twitched. Was she praising her father or herself? "I don't know who your father is either. Sister Lan didn't tell me this." The reason why Sister Lan married Mo Cheng back then was because after she became pregnant, her spiritual power started to weaken and it was becoming more serious. She was a single woman, and she was afraid that the Yi family and Fan family would chase after her, so she could only agree to Mo Cheng's proposal. However, she had told Mo Cheng beforehand that they were only in name, and they gave Mo Cheng a lot of spirit tools and pills as compensation. Mo Cheng probably took a liking to Sister Lan's beauty and thought that after a long time, he could fake it and do it for real. Secondly, he also got some benefits, so he readily agreed, Lin Yang said to Yun Chujiu. Yun Chujiu thought about Mo Cheng's actions. Every time he mentioned her mother, he would call her a bitch. He looked so angry that he must have wanted to put on a real show but was rejected by her mother. What happened after that? How could I be separated from my mother? Lin Yang sighed. The day Sister Lan gave birth to you was supposed to be a beautiful day. Who would have thought that the moment you were born, there would suddenly be wind and rain, lightning and thunder? Moreover, the lightning that struck that day was purple. Sister Lan watched helplessly as you suddenly disappeared. Even the little quilt on her body disappeared along with you. Sister Lan fainted on the spot. Because of your loss, Sister Lan's health had not been very good until half a year later. She knew that she could not count on the Mo family to find you, so she thought of a way to fake her death. Then, she left the Mo family to find your whereabouts. She had always believed that you did not die prematurely. Lin Yang looked at Yun Chujiu with a gratified look and then continued, after that, your mother successfully left the Mo family. After disguising herself, she brought me around to look for you, but where can I find you in such a vast sea of people? Just like that, your mother and I searched for you for 3 years, but there was still no trace of you. Suddenly, one day, a few people appeared and chased after me and Sister Lan. Fortunately, Sister Lan was very smart and had already recovered her spiritual power by that time. She used a strategy to kill all those people one by one. Sister Lan was afraid that someone would come after her, so we ran all the way here. We thought that this place was very remote and wouldn't be found. I didn't expect that something would happen in the end. Lin Yang's body trembled slightly. It must have been a bad memory. After we settled down here, Sister Lan bought this spring festival house. I was saved by Sister Lan from the furnace, cauldron, and hall in the past, so am familiar with this kind of business. The reason why Sister Lan bought this spring festival house was firstly to hide her identity. After all, no one would have thought that she would hide here. Secondly, there were many guests coming and going here. It was also convenient to find out your whereabouts. We had lived a peaceful life for 2 years. We did not expect that another group of people would come one day. The spiritual power of the people who came this time was much higher than the previous group. Not to mention fighting, we could not even withstand the pressure of those people. Sister Lan knew that there was no point in resisting, so she did not say anything more and was taken away by them. From then on, I have never seen Sister Lan. Lin Yang said until here and burst into tears. After Yun Chuzhou comforted Lin Yang for a while, Lin Yang finally calmed down. Little Jiu, I think Sister Lan is still alive. If those people wanted to kill her, they would have done it then and would not have taken her away. Yun Chuzhou nodded. Aunt Li, what you said makes sense. Those people must be trying to get something from my mother, or maybe my mother has some value. I believe that my mother is still alive. I will definitely find her. Aunt Li, think about it again. Do you have any clues about what those people or my mother said? Lin Yang shook her head. Although your mother is a cheerful and open-minded person, she has never told me about your father and the background of those people. She is probably afraid that I will be implicated if I know more. Yun Chuzhou was slightly disappointed. There was no clue at all. Where could she find her mother? However, when those people threatened your mother, they seemed to have mentioned something about a low-level world like the immortal Yuan continent and something about being widowed, Lin Yang suddenly said. Yun Chuzhou frowned. A low-level world like the immortal Yuan continent? This meant that those people were definitely not from the immortal Yuan continent. They should be from the higher-level continents that Shen Guanhao and the others had mentioned. A widow? Could it be that her biological father had died? Those people had taken her mother back to celebrate the festival for her father. Yun Chuzhou felt that the truth of the matter seemed to be covered by layers of fog. However, no matter what, at least there was news of her mother. Yun Chuzhou stayed in Chuanxi House for another 2 days. Then, she politely refused Lin Yang's request to stay and hurried back to the Hunyuan sect. On the way, she heard the news that the Primordial Chaos sect and the Murder Origin sect were on bad terms. She was extremely anxious and hurried back, but it was still a little too late. This guy thought about it and could only abduct the Stone Pai Xiao and the Stone Lion. As for the method to abduct them, it was very simple. The world was so big, take them to have a look. Yun Chuzhou did not hide anything from the Meng Yanshou. After explaining everything, she asked, Curly Hair, what is the name of the continent that is one level higher than the Immortal Origin continent? There are many continents that are higher in level than the Immortal Yuan continent. However, the nearest continent should be Towering Sky continent. Meng Yanshou thought for a while and said. Yun Chuzhou frowned. Curly Hair, there is something that I don't quite understand. How did these high-level continents and low-level continents form? Why are there so many continents? Meng Yanshou pretended to walk on the ground twice before saying, well, you don't know. When Hun Dun was first created, there was only one continent between heaven and earth. Yun Chuzhou was stunned as she listened to Meng Yanshou's story. Meng Yanshou was obviously very pleased with itself. It wagged its short rabbit tail and continued, at that time, it was also known as the Primordial Era. There was no record of that era at all. After that, an unknown change happened. A piece of land became 2 pieces. That era was known as the Ancient Mesozoic Era. The record was also blank. That's not right, Curly Hair. Since there are no records, how did you know? Yun Chuzhou asked in confusion. Meng Yanshou said proudly, I don't know how I knew. Anyway, I knew it. It's probably because I'm good-looking. Yun Chuzhou almost vomited. To be so narcissistic, there was no one else. Meng Yanshou continued, tens of thousands of years later, the 2 continents suddenly began to break apart, and eventually became several continents with different levels of spiritual power. This was the last generation of the Ancient Era, which is what you humans call the Ancient Era. Divine artifacts and ancient divine beasts were also produced in the last generation of the ancient era. Soon after, the first great war between gods and demons broke out. After the gods and demons demarcated their territories, they lived peacefully for tens of thousands of years. Tens of thousands of years later, another change occurred. The gods inexplicably began to die one by one, and in the end, not a single one was left. This made the demon extremely happy. He thought that they had finally arrived at their world. Unexpectedly, after tens of thousands of years of reproduction, the human race began to develop and grow. The demon race's attacks on several continents ended in failure. Meng Yanshou said as he vigilantly observed his own situation. He was afraid that he would be punished by the Tian Dao. However, there was nothing unusual. It seemed that these words could be said. Yun Chujiu received a huge shock. It turned out that what she knew was just the tip of the iceberg. However, all the gods had been destroyed, so was it really impossible to see Qi again? When the Meng Yanshou saw Yun Chujiu's distracted look, it curled its lips. TSK. No matter how powerful it was just a little girl. How could it be compared to an ancient beast like it? However, it seemed to have lost a part of its memory. Otherwise, it would be even more awesome. Just as the nightmare beast was feeling proud, it heard Yun Chujiu snort coldly, "Curly hair, aren't you very proud?" Meng Yanshou suddenly shrunk its neck. "Little fairy, what are you talking about? I will always be your beast and will always listen to your orders." Yun Chujiu glanced at it. "If I want to go to the towering sky continent, what can you do?" "Little fairy. Whether I have a way or not, you can't go. With your level of spiritual power, you are just an ant in the towering sky continent. You will definitely be gnawed until there are no bones left. When I went from the Qing Xian continent to the Tian Yuan continent, or from the Tian Yuan continent to the immortal Yuan continent, I was just an ant. What about now? Am I not still their ancestor? Cut the crap. Just tell me how to get to the towering sky continent." Yun Chujiu's eyes were full of confidence and dazzling. Meng Yanshou didn't dare to not say it. He could only say, "There are two ways. One is that after your cultivation base reaches the peak of the 9th layer of the ethereal space realm, you will be teleported to the towering sky continent. The other way is to find the enchantment between the immortal Yuan continent and the towering sky continent. Through the enchantment, you can enter the towering sky continent. However, little fairy, you must not be rash. Being rash is the devil." Meng Yanshou was so regretful that its intestines turned green. If it had known this would happen, it would not have shown off in front of this little girl. If the Venerable One knew that it was the one who said it, he would definitely not spare it. Yun Chujiu glanced at Meng Yanshou, who had nothing left to live for. "Don't worry. I'm only at level 1 of the spiritual void tier now. The most important thing now is to increase my spiritual power and find the antidote. I don't want to be like this forever. However, seeing that you've performed well, it'll change you into a male rabbit's shell." Meng Yanshou was so happy that he could finally be a real man. Otherwise, it would be even worse than that eunuch rabbit. It would be a rabbit demon that was neither male nor female. After Yun Chujiu sent Meng Yanshou away, she pondered over her next plan. First, she had to resolve the dispute between the Chaos Origin sect and the Killing Origin sect. However, this was not a difficult matter. As long as she could find out who the traitor was, the matter would be solved. On the other hand, her identity was a problem. Those old fellows would definitely be against the sudden appearance of their ancestors from the bottom of their hearts. It was inevitable that they would find fault with her, so she had to be careful. However, with the great sword of seniority, as long as she handled it carefully, there should not be any problems. Next was the antidote. She still had to continue to go to the library of the Primordial Chaos sect to read books and strive to find the antidote as soon as possible. It would be best if she could also find a way to get rid of the Guai Chao. Lastly, it was the problem of cultivation. Thinking of this, Yun Chujiu suddenly sat up from the bed. It was not a bad thing for her to become smaller. That old bastard Tian Dao did not kill her last time. Now that he knew that she had arrived at the primordial chaos sect, he might let the heavenly lightning strike her. She had to find a place to hide. Otherwise, she would not be able to withstand the heavenly lightning. Yun Chujiu thought about it and thought of a good place. It was the Azura prison in the forbidden area of Tianheng Peak. As for the method to seduce the Azura prison, it was very simple. She could just use the Azura spring to seduce it. After Yun Chujiu had thought these things through, she finally rested. The next day, He Xinjiu rode a giant rabbit and brought a bunch of rabbits out of the courtyard. Now, He Xinjiu's ancestral identity had already spread throughout the entire primordial chaos sect. Therefore, when they saw Yun Chujiu, the servants and disciples all had awkward expressions on their faces. They should greet her. They really could not call her their ancestral name. If they didn't greet her, they would be afraid that Yun Chujiu would find fault with them. Therefore, everyone avoided her from afar, as if they were avoiding the god of plague. Yun Chujiu, damn it! This wasn't how it was supposed to be played. It turned out that they despised her as a bad person, so these people ignored her. Now that she had become their ancestral, these people actually ignored her. This was really too much. The lonely and cold Master Bailey went to the meeting hall with his head drooping. Master Bailey and the others also wanted to hide, but unfortunately, they couldn't. They could only brace themselves and bow. Greetings, little ancestor Yun. Master Bailey finally enjoyed the treatment of an ancestor. He waved his hand pretentiously, no need for formalities. You kids are really too polite. Did you have a good rest last night? The corner of Master Bailey's eyes twitched violently and he said perfunctorily, we had a good rest. Thank you, little ancestor Yun, for your concern. Yun Chujiu shamelessly sat on Master Bailey's seat and slapped the table. It's not that I, as an elder, want to criticize you. You made such a big mistake, but you can still sleep. You guys are really big-hearted. Forget it, you guys are still young. As an elder, I won't say much about you guys. You guys should take care of yourselves. Little Bailey, what did you do about the matter that I asked you to do yesterday? Everyone's old faces were red. They were scolded like grandchildren by a 3 or 4-year-old little girl. However, what she said was still reasonable. It was simply too shameful to see people. Master Bailey said with a flushed face, the people you asked me to capture have all been captured. Through interrogation, they are indeed people from the Divine Devil Hall, but they are all at the lowest level and do not have any valuable clues. Moreover, before we found him, that Lu Shun had already been killed to silence him. Yun Chujiu had expected this, so she was not too surprised. She turned to Alliance Master Yen and asked, Little Yen, you were there during the interrogation yesterday, right? Alliance Master Yan's face stiffened for a moment, then he nodded. Since that's the case, when the peace talks between the two sects come, as the third party, you can be the witness. Little Bailey, there must be spies from the Divine Devil Hall in the Primordial Chaos sect. In the next few days, you should focus on this matter. If there's nothing else, I will go to the library to read. Everyone looked at each other. Finally, Master Bailey asked, Little Ancestor Yun, can you tell us what happened when you saw the two ancestors? Yun Chujiu had already prepared a script in her head. This fellow was good at telling lies. Master Bailey and the others did not doubt him at all. This guy did not tell the others that Patriarch Yuan Tian and Patriarch Hong Yuan were dead. He thought that if they thought that the two patriarchs were still alive, they would be afraid and would not harm her. Seeing that the others had nothing more to ask, Yun Chujiu rode the giant rabbit and left the meeting hall with a bunch of rabbits. Looking at her back, Master Bailey and the others sighed silently. A new ancestor appeared out of nowhere. It was hard to explain in one word. News came from the Shi Yuan sect that they had caught some spies from the Divine Devil Hall. However, there were not many valuable clues. Yun Chujiu could not help but admire the master of the Divine Devil Hall. He had done a good job in keeping the information confidential. She had been dealing with the Divine Devil Hall for a long time, so she only knew the tip of the iceberg about the Divine Devil Hall. This guy had been reading books in the library for the past few days, but he had little effect. He did not find any information about the antidote or the Guai Chao. Moreover, the heavenly lightning that she had been hoping for did not strike her. He Xinjia's mood became less cheerful. The moment this fellow's mood became bad, the entire primordial chaos sect would suffer as well. It was to the extent that the disciples of the primordial chaos sect avoided this ancestor as if she was the god of plague, afraid that she would vent her anger on them. Master Bailey only had one wish now, and that was to hurry up to 3 months. Hurry up and send this ancestor to the Shi Yuan sect, and stop tormenting them. On this day, just as Ancestor Jiu was wreaking havoc, the voice transmission talisman inside the storage ring started to vibrate. Yun Chujiu picked it up and took a look. It was actually from Shui Wuji. Yun Chujiu hurriedly sent her spiritual sense in, and Shui Wuji's anxious voice came from inside. Little sister Jiu, Di Baiming's old illness is acting up. Right now, we can only use your blood to temporarily save his life. You must come here immediately. Yun Chujia's head buzzed, and she almost fell off the giant rabbit. She steadied her mind. Tell me where you are, and I'll rush over immediately. The ice abyss of the immemorial ice field. Little sister Jiu, it's very dangerous here. You must be careful. I understand. Everyone saw that Yun Chujia's expression was very bad, and they didn't dare to ask for trouble, so they all dispersed. Yun Chujiu immediately rode the giant rabbit to find Master Bailey. Little Bailey, I have something urgent to leave, but am afraid that the Divine Devil Hall will target me, so you have to cooperate with me and help me distract the Divine Devil Hall's attention. Master Bailey, are you leaving? Where are you going? To the Shi Yuan sect? Master Bailey asked in confusion. No, I'm going to save someone very important to me. You don't have to ask. Just do as I say. Yun Chujiu said coldly. Master Bailey then realized that this bad news bag had a serious expression. Clearly, something big had happened. Little Ancestor Yun, do you need the sect's help? Yun Chujiu shook her head. No need. It's more convenient for me to do things by myself. There's no time to lose. You must immediately do as I say. Yun Chujiu had thought of bringing some people from the primordial chaos sect with her. However, the ancient ice plains were extremely cold, and the 100,000 feet deep ice abyss was bone-chilling. She had the 10,000 years fire marrow on her body to resist the cold, but the others couldn't. Bringing people with her would be a burden. Moreover, she was not sure who else in the primordial chaos sect was a spy from the Divine Devil Hall. If she were to invite a wolf into the house, it would be even worse. After Yun Chujiu told Master Bailey about her plans, she returned to the dormitory and began to make some preparations. That afternoon, news spread out from the primordial chaos sect. 2 months later, the Hunyuan sect held a grand ceremony for Yun Chujiu to become the last disciple of Patriarch Yuan Tian, inviting all kinds of heroes to come. The next day, disciples of the Hunyuan sect set off one after another to send invitations to various sects and clans. And Linchuan and Shangguanhao were also assigned tasks. Of course, they also had an important task, which was to bring Yun Chujiu out of the Hunyuan sect without anyone noticing. After flying for hundreds of miles, the flying spirit tool found that there were no abnormalities around Baili. The flying spirit tool landed in a valley. Junior sister Xiaojiu, did something happen to the Almighty? Do you really not need our help? And Linchuan asked with concern. He had forgotten to address Yun Chujiu when he was anxious. Yun Chujiu's small face was unusually serious. I can go alone. You guys go and deliver the invitation as usual. Don't give yourself away. And Linchuan and Shangguanhao had no choice but to nod in agreement. Seeing Yun Chujiu take her short legs and board another flying spirit tool, the two of them felt very stifled. They couldn't help her in any way. They could only pray that junior sister little Jiu was doing well. After Yun Chujiu and Lin Chuan separated, they pushed the speed of the flying spirit tool to its limit. She had to hurry. If she was even a moment late, she might regret it for the rest of her life. If it were not for the fact that she wanted to attract the attention of the Divine Devil Hall, she would have set off immediately yesterday. Yun Chujiu sped all the way. When she slept at night, she asked Meng Yanshou and the others to be on guard. She did not dare to delay for even a moment. On the way, Yun Chujiu and Shui Wuji used voice transmission talismans a few times. She did not dare to contact them too frequently. If the voice transmission talismans went wrong, it would really make things worse. Yun Chujiu hurried and finally arrived at the edge of the immemorial ice field half a month later. Even if it was the edge, it already made people feel a bone-piercing cold. The immemorial ice field forbade flying, so Yun Chujiu could only ride the giant rabbit and run wildly. When the giant rabbit was exhausted, Yun Chujiu rode the Shaohong red fox and continued to run day and night. Due to the pressure released by Yun Chujiu, she did not encounter any demon beasts at the beginning. After all, the demon beasts living on the edge were not high level. Shui Wuji's voice transmission talisman rang again. Sister Xiaojiu, there are only 3 bottles of blood left. You should speed up. Yun Chujiu frowned. 3 bottles of blood could only last for 6 days at most, which meant that she had to reach the bottomless ice abyss within 6 days. Time was very tight. Yun Chujiu was extremely anxious. At this moment, the entire ancient ice field was suddenly covered by dark clouds. Wu Yun's heart sank. Fuck. Could it be that he wanted to strike her now? Yun Chujiu's heart sank. There was no divine weapon here for her to dodge. Wouldn't her life end here? No wonder he didn't strike her before. It turned out that he was waiting for an opportunity to strike her. This old bastard Tian Dao was really sinister. Yun Chujiu narrowed her eyes. She couldn't just sit around and wait for death. She commanded the giant rabbit to charge forward with all its strength. Perhaps it might discover something ahead. Unfortunately, due to the enormous pressure, the demon beasts on the ice field had long found a place to hide. Other than large patches of moss and low-level spiritual plants, there wasn't much to discover. Boom! 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 Continuous heavenly lightning struck Yun Chujiu's body. Yun Chujiu had no choice but to keep the giant rabbit and run with her short legs. Wu Yun in the sky was very arrogant and proud. Let's see where you can hide this time. I must kill you this time. In the blink of an eye, 6 hours had passed. Yun Chujiu no longer had the energy to continue running forward. Yun Chujiu had no choice but to release Xiao Hanyo and Xiao Mogu and let them share a portion of the heavenly lightning. However, it was still of no use. Wu Yun was determined to kill Yun Chujiu this time. The nightmare beast helped Yun Chujiu carry on for another hour. Seeing that Meng Yanshou was about to go into hibernation, Yun Chujiu had no choice but to put it back into her spiritual beast pouch. At this moment, Yun Chujiu's body was already bleeding, and her meridians had reached their maximum capacity. Yun Chujiu bit her lips. She couldn't die. She still had many things to do. The gigolo was still waiting for her to save him, her mother was still waiting for her to save her, and she still had to find a way to see Chi-Chi. She had to survive. Yun Chujiu's divine sense gradually became absent-minded. In her blurry vision, she seemed to see a person appear in front of her. Gigolo? How was this possible? Didn't his old illness recur? Beiming protected her under his body, continuously forming seals to resist the heavenly lightning. Only then did Yun Chujiu realize that Beiming's figure was not a physical entity, but a phantom. She subconsciously lowered her head to look at the jade token in front of her chest. Indeed, the jade token had already been shattered. Yun Chujiu was stunned. She did not crush the jade token. How could the jade token be shattered? She looked again and saw that her body was covered in blood. It was probably because her blood had soaked the jade token and triggered it. Suddenly, Yun Chujo was shocked. The pretty boy's life was on the line, and now he had used his spiritual sense to help her fight against the heavenly lightning. Wouldn't the situation be worse? Thinking of this, Yun Chujo shouted at Di Baiming's shadow, "Stop! Stop quickly! I can do it myself! Shut up! Hurry up and tidy up your meridians! I can't hold on for long! Don't worry, I won't die! It's all that idiot Shui Wuji's fault for calling you here behind my back. Sooner or later, I'll get even with him." Di Baiming roared. Yun Chujo shrunk her neck at Di Baiming's roar. She didn't dare to say anything else and could only begin to tidy up her meridians. Her constitution was special. Although she had bled a lot, she was very lively again very quickly. Yun Chujo protected Di Baiming's shadow behind her and started to provoke Wu Yun. "Hey! You little bitch in the sky, come and hit me if you have the ability. If you can't kill me today, you are a good-for-nothing." As expected, Wu Yun in the sky stopped hitting Di Baiming's shadow and turned to hit He Xinjiu. After an hour, when He Xinjiu could not take it anymore, Di Baiming's shadow helped her to resist the thunder again and let her comb her meridians. Wu Yun was fuming in the sky. It was not easy for her to run to this godforsaken place, and yet another damn thing came out to help her resist the lightning. She was so mad. "I'll chop! I'll chop! I'll chop!" Unfortunately, He Xinjiu was not killed by the lightning until evening. "Hey, Wang Banyun, you can't kill me. I advise you to kill yourself. Your survival is a disgrace to the dark cloud world, Eunuch Yun. Do you think your conscience won't hurt when you bully a weak child like me?" Wu Yun in the sky trembled a few times. "You are so shameless. You are still weak. You are a pervert." Although Wu Yun was furious, the power of the lightning was almost exhausted. He Xinjiu was still alive and kicking. It could only fly away in anger. Yun Chujo saw that Wu Yun had flown away. She finally heaved a sigh of relief. She had finally passed this hurdle. She turned to look at Di Baiming's shadow and saw Di Baiming looking at her with an inexplicable expression. His eyes were filled with heartache, guilt, and reluctance. "Little Jiu, I've already found your mother's whereabouts. She's trapped in the Yun family of Towering Sky Continent. There's a passage leading to Towering Sky Continent under the 100,000 feet ice abyss. However, your spiritual power is too low right now, so you must not go to Towering Sky Continent rashly. You have to promise me that you'll go after your spiritual power reaches at least the 8th layer of spiritual space, understand? In addition, I've found the antidote for the rejuvenation pill for you. When you see Shui Wuji, I'll give it to you." At this moment, Di Baiming's shadow was already very faint. Yun Chujo suddenly panicked. "Prince Charming, why are you saying all this? We will meet soon. You can tell me when the time comes." Di Baiming's tone suddenly became stern. "Little Jiu, you must remember my words. If you don't cultivate properly, I will not forgive you." Yun Chujo stretched out her hand, but she didn't catch anything. Di Baiming's shadow completely disappeared in front of her eyes. Yun Chuji's mind was blank. With trembling hands, she took out Shui Wuji's voice transmission talisman. "Male god, how? How is he?" After a long while, Shui Wuji's low voice was heard. "Little Jiu, Di Baiming suddenly broke through the hard ice just now. It seems that he used some secret technique. Now, it's better for you to come over and take a look for yourself." Yun Chuji's small body shook a little. She had a bad feeling that something must have happened to the gigolo. After being stunned for a moment, Yun Chujo summoned a giant rabbit and ran toward the ice abyss. No matter what happened, the gigolo would not die, definitely not. Even if he really died, she would change her fate and save him. Suddenly, 2 level 43 immemorial bears appeared in front of them and blocked their way. Yun Chujo looked at them coldly. Get lost! The two immemorial bears roared crazily with disdain in their eyes. Was this little human girl crazy? Although she was in the first layer of the ethereal space realm, her small body was no match for them. Seeing that the two immemorial violent bears did not move aside, Yun Chujia's body was filled with a violent aura. Her dark eyes were filled with purple lightning. The two immemorial violent bears subconsciously took 2 steps back and felt that their spiritual sense was a little absent-minded. Before they could react, Yun Chujio had already passed them on her giant rabbit and was flying forward rapidly. The two immemorial violent bears immediately flew into a rage out of humiliation and chased after them relentlessly. It was not easy for them to meet a cute little girl, and they were still waiting to improve their food. Although the giant rabbit's speed was not slow, it was clearly not as fast as the two immemorial violent bears on the ice plains. They were soon caught up. Yun Chujio turned her head fiercely and glanced at the two immemorial violent bears. When the two immemorial violent bears saw the small purple lightning in Yun Chujia's eyes, they could not help but stop in their tracks. Yun Chujia's small body suddenly jumped up from the giant rabbit and slapped one of the immemorial violent bears on the head. The giant rabbit was so scared that it closed its eyes. Was this little girl stupid? Why did she directly make a move? Instead, she let go of that supposedly very powerful pig. The two immemorial violent bears were also dumbfounded. They thought to themselves, so she was a silly child. No wonder she was a little doll wandering on the ice field. She was a fool. The immemorial violent bear that was attacked by Yun Chujio did not even dodge. It thought that its skin was tough and its flesh was thick. A little girl's palm would not harm it at all. Moreover, the little girl had jumped over to its mouth by itself. At that time, it would be able to kill the little girl with a single swipe of its paw. Bang! The giant rabbit's heart sank. It was over. That black-hearted little girl was dead just like that. It did not expect that after dodging the heavenly thunder, it would actually seek its own death. The giant rabbit opened its eyes and immediately fell to the ground in shock. It saw that the giant immemorial violent bear had been forcefully flattened. It lay on the ground, looking like a piece of bear skin. The living immemorial violent bear was already paralyzed with fear. Yun Chujio stood in front of it, but it did not even dare to attack. Its eyes were filled with fear. Yun Chujio stretched out her small claws and established a temporary contract with it. Then, she kept the huge rabbit and sat on the immemorial violent bear's back, letting it move forward at full speed. The immemorial violent bear was still frightened as it ran. Oh God! Where did this monster come from? She actually killed her companion with a single slap. Could it be that she was hiding her true strength, and was actually at the 8th or 9th level of the spiritual space realm? Meng Yanshou no longer had a shell. It floated around in the spiritual beast pouch, and its 4 vertical pupils flashed with a suspicious light. The black-hearted little girl was a little strange. There was a small purple lightning in her eyes? How could there be lightning in a human's eyes? Moreover, she killed a level 43 demonic beast with one slap. This was not something that her spiritual power could do. Could it be that there was a seal on her body? Or was there something fishy that temporarily triggered her potential? Also, what happened to your majesty? Was she really dead? Half a day later, a group of immemorial ice foxes surrounded Yun Chujio and the immemorial violent bear. Yun Chujio said coldly, "Get lost." The group of immemorial ice foxes let out sharp cries, obviously mocking Yun Chujio for overestimating herself. The immemorial bear lit a candle in its heart for these foxes. They actually dared to provoke this monster. You guys are dead meat. Countless purple lightning flashed in Yun Chujio's eyes once again. The immemorial ice fox in front of her could not help but open up a path. Yun Chujio took out a bunch of talismans and threw them at the group of foxes. The sounds of explosions and the screams of the immemorial ice fox could be heard continuously. Yun Chujio did not even turn her head and ordered the immemorial bear to speed up. She did not want to waste a second. There was only one thought in her mind. She wanted to see the gigolo. The gigolo would definitely be fine. The foxes were completely enraged. They chased after them crazily. Yun Chujo acted as if she did not see them and only urged the ancient violent bear to run faster. The ancient violent bear was puzzled. This little demon could clearly kill those damn foxes, so why didn't he make a move? How would it know that Yun Chujo did not want to waste time? Therefore, every time the foxes approached, Yun Chujo would throw out a stack of talismans, followed by the sound of the talismans exploding and the cries of the foxes. After repeating this a few times, the foxes stopped eating. Damn it, this little girl was simply not human. How could she have so many talismans? Although those talismans were not fatal, they couldn't withstand the large number. Yun Chujo encountered a few groups of demonic beasts on the way, but she managed to shake them off with her fastest speed. She was not in the mood to fight, she just wanted to see Di Biming right away. The immemorial violent bear was out of luck. Yun Chujo did not sleep or rest, so it could only follow her and run forward without rest. When it was exhausted, it would remember that it had become a bear's companion, and it would suddenly become lively. Just as it was about to reach the 100,000 feet deep ice abyss, it was stopped by a huge ancient ice long. The ancient violent bear could not help but tremble. This ancient ice long was a level 46 demonic beast, which was equivalent to the 7th to 8th level of the spiritual space realm of humans. Could a little monster defeat it? Get lost. Or it'll kill you. Yun Chujo said coldly. The ancient ice long looked at Yun Chujo with contempt. A little weakling at the first level of the spiritual space realm? And it still dared to talk nonsense to it. It really overestimated itself. The ancient ice long opened its mouth, and several ice arrows shot towards Yun Chujo in all directions. The violent ancient bear was scared silly. Unexpectedly, the little girl on its back shot out small purple lightning bolts from her eyes one after another, splitting all the ice arrows into nothingness. Whether it was the ancient ice long or the ancient bear, it was the first time they saw such a scene. Both of them had the same thought. God, what kind of monster is this? While the ancient ice long was in a daze, the purple lightning bolts gathered into a thick lightning bolt and struck at it. The ancient ice long quickly moved its huge body to dodge. It did not expect the lightning bolt to turn around and strike at it again. The ancient ice long roar was clearly a little dumbfounded. How could this lightning turn around? It was not a spirit beast, so why did it look like it still had intelligence? Before the ancient ice long could react, it saw the little girl release a group of spirit piglets. But strangely, those spirit piglets did not attack it. Instead, they began to kill each other. The ancient ice long, what was going on? Were these piglets crazy? Why didn't they attack it? Why did the piglets bite the piglets instead? Soon, it understood the reason. Because De Hua had appeared out of thin air. De Hua, stop it. After Yun Chujo said that, she rode the dumbfounded ancient ice long towards the bottomless ice abyss. The ancient ice long wanted to chase after it, but De Hua's huge body easily blocked its path. The two of them fought together. Yun Chujo did not want to kill the ancient ice long. As long as De Hua could stop it, it would be fine. Her only goal now was to see Di Biming as soon as possible. As they neared the 100,000 feet deep ice abyss, the temperature dropped rapidly. Even the ancient violent bear with its thick fur could not withstand it anymore. Yun Chujo could only put it into her spirit beast bag and run forward with her short legs. Finally, Yun Chujo walked to the edge of the bottomless ice abyss and looked down. She could not see the end of the abyss, only the biting cold wind that swept down like an ice blade. Yun Chujo set up the spiritual energy shield and thought of a solution. Since it was forbidden to fly, the chopping board was definitely not going to work. The ice walls around her were extremely smooth, and even the sticky threads of the wool ball could not stabilize her body. How could she get down? Yun Chujo finally let the little bastard take out the big turtle shell. Yun Chujo then used several layers of cloth to make a simple parachute and fixed it on the turtle shell. Finally, she covered the turtle shell with several layers of fur. This way, even if she really fell to the ground, she would still have a buffer. Yun Chujo was ready. Only then did she let the turtle shell roll down toward the bottomless ice abyss. While she was falling, Yun Chujo had been carefully observing the condition of the parachute through the cracks. Fortunately, the cloth she used was very tough iron linen. Although some of it was cut by the cold wind, it did not affect her overall use. Finally, the turtle shell rolled down to the bottom of the bottomless ice abyss. The bottom of the bottomless ice abyss was actually a huge ice field at the bottom of the valley. According to Shui Wuji, danger was everywhere below. Yun Chujo was on full alert. Yun Chujo originally thought that it would be very dark since there was no sun all year round. She did not expect that the entire ice field was emitting a faint blue light. Yun Chujo took a closer look and realized that there were many faint blue mosses growing on the ice field. The light was emitted by them. Yun Chujo sprinted with her short legs. She did not run far before she was surrounded by a group of big ants that were also emitting a faint blue light. Yun Chujo had never seen the records of these ants, but it was obvious that they were very ferocious. The eyes of the ants revealed a greedy look. Such a tender little person would definitely be a great tonic for them. It would be a good tonic for their queen. This time, Yun Chujo did not even use a warning. She directly released a small flame to burn these big ants. Yun Chujo used the small flame to burn a path and continued to run. Yun Chujo didn't run far before she was blocked by a group of giant blue scorpions. At this time, the ants behind her also quickly caught up. There were scorpions in front and ants behind. They were all eyeing this piece of fat meat that was about to reach their mouths. Although Yun Chuji's small flame was powerful, it was still in its infancy stage. It was obviously not strong enough to deal with so many demonic insects. Yun Chujo narrowed her eyes. Countless purple lightning bolts flashed in her eyes again. Countless purple lightning bolts charged at the blue scorpions in front of her. Instantly, a burnt smell filled the air. The little flame trembled subconsciously. Clearly, it was a little scared. The blue scorpions immediately opened up a path like a tide. Yun Chujo did not even bother to look at them again. She continued to run at a high speed. Following that, Yun Chujo was attacked by several waves of demonic beasts. Although she was delayed for some time, she managed to reach the depths of the icy plain with the help of the little lightning in her eyes. Yun Chujo suddenly stopped and looked in front of her in disbelief. No, this was impossible. Yun Chuji's small body could not hold on any longer and she collapsed on the ground. The little lightning in her eyes also disappeared and she fainted. When Yun Chujo woke up, her eyes were staring at the ice wall in front of her. There was a person sealed in the ice. It was Di Biming. His eyes were closed and he was sealed in the ice expressionlessly. Yun Chujo walked to the ice wall and took out her big kitchen knife. She kept chopping at the ice wall like crazy, but no matter how many pieces of ice she cut, she could not touch Di Biming. It was as if she was isolated by ice to another world. Little sister Jo, calm down. Things are not as bad as you think. Listen to me. Shui Wuji took the big kitchen knife from Yun Chuji's hand and said hoarsely. Yun Chuji's wooden expression finally relaxed. She turned to look at Shui Wuji. Only then did she realize that Shui Wuji and Enfeng were obviously seriously injured. Their faces were pale. No wonder they did not pick her up. Instead, they let her come alone. What exactly happened? How did the Prince Charming become like this? Yun Chujo asked with bloodshot eyes. Shui Wuji and Enfeng looked at the mini version of Yun Chujo. If the atmosphere was not too heavy, the two of them would have rolled on the floor laughing. At this moment, there was only a strong sense of oppression. Shui Wuji handed Yun Chujo a pill. Little sister Jo, take this pill first. Di Baiming said that this pill can help you recover. Yun Chuzhou took the pill and swallowed it without saying a word. In almost a moment, Yun Chujia's figure changed from a little girl to a 15 or 16-year-old girl. She had never come to Koishui, so she had always looked like a young girl. Yun Chujia's face was emotionless as she stared at Shui Wuji. Shui Wuji sighed silently. He knew that she was anxious to know what had happened, so he did not hide it and told her the whole story. Sigh. Little sister Jiu, I always thought that the facial paralysis was not good enough for you. Every time you were in danger, you would solve it yourself. Not only could he not help you in time, but he would also suck your blood from time to time and bully you. However, after I left the Primordial Chaos sect, I found out that he had done so much for you behind your back. Shui Wuji said with some emotion. These were his heartfelt words. He had really thought that Di Baiming was not good enough for Yun Chuzhou to treat him well. However, a person could only see one or a few sides of things. They could not see the other sides at all. Shui Wuji looked at Yun Chuzhou with concern. He then said, that facial paralysis did not allow us to tell you these things. Even this time, he did not allow us to tell you about his illness. However, I feel that it is better to tell you. That is why I sent you the news previously. You have been causing trouble in the Primordial Murder sect and the Primordial Chaos sect many times, but Bailey Yin and Xiahou Lin did not expel you from the sect or really punish you. Do you know why? This is because Di Baiming has already warned them to secretly protect you. Di Baiming gave you a jade token with his spiritual sense. Do you know that every time you use it, he will be seriously injured? Especially this last time, he used a forbidden spell to help you resist the heavenly lightning. Otherwise, he might not have been frozen. Also, he had investigated long ago that your mother had been captured and brought to the towering sky continent. The reason why he didn't tell you was because he was afraid that you would act recklessly. He had gone to the towering sky continent many times to investigate the whereabouts of your mother and father. As a result, he had been in danger countless times. This time, in order to help you find that pill, he forcefully broke through a layer of seal, causing his old illness to relapse. Also, Yun Chujia's tears rolled down one drop at a time. She bit her lips tightly. She did not know that Di Baiming had done so much for her behind her back. She had always thought that Di Baiming was fighting with his enemy. Every time she quarreled with him because of his bad temper, every time they got together for a short period of time, he would fly into a rage. She even blamed him for not understanding or tolerating her. She even deliberately made fun of him. Shui Wuji could not bear to see Yun Chuzhou like this. However, he continued, also, not only did he help you find the pill, he also killed the Yun family who wanted to capture you in the immortal Yuan continent. That's why his old illness acted up earlier. However, little sister Jiu, you don't have to be too sad. Your facial paralysis is only sealed, not dead. The reason why we came to this bottomless ice abyss is because he knows that he is about to be sealed, and this is the most suitable place. Then how can he break the seal? Yun Chujia's eyes lit up as she asked anxiously. Shui Wuji touched his nose. The facial paralysis said that it will depend on his recovery. It will take at least 1 to 3 years, but he will definitely be fine. This is 10,000-year-old ice. Only your kitchen knife can cut through it. Moreover, Feng and I are guarding here. Yun Chuzhou turned her head to look at Di Baiming, who was frozen in ice. The pain from the bottom of her heart spread to her entire body, and she could barely stand. At the same time, she also felt regret for her laziness, but more than that, she was angry at the Yun family. The Yun family had captured her mother and wanted to capture her. What were they trying to do? What was the point of having such a family member? Why not just kill her? Yun Chujia's long hair that was draped over her back suddenly fluttered in the wind. Her eyes were filled with purple lightning, and her entire person was filled with a cold murderous aura. Shui Wuji and Feng were startled by the murderous aura around Yun Chuzhou, and they took a few steps back. The two of them looked at each other. What? What was going on? Was she possessed? While the two of them were at a loss, the murderous aura around Yun Chujo suddenly dissipated. Her body swayed and she finally fainted on the ground. When Yun Chujo woke up again, it was already the next morning. She lied to herself and thought that it was just a nightmare. In fact, she was still in the primordial chaos sect and her gigolo was fine. However, when she saw Di beaming inside the ice wall, tears rolled down her face. So, this was reality. Even if it was cruel, she could only accept the reality. Shui Wuji looked at Yun Chujo worriedly and said, "Little sister Jo, are you hungry? Eat breakfast." Shui Wuji thought that Yun Chujo would definitely reject him. She would be sad and dispirited for a period of time without eating or drinking. Unexpectedly, Yun Chujo nodded and ate breakfast with the two of them. Shui Wuji saw that Yun Chujo was clearly unable to eat, yet she still stuffed it into her mouth. His nose was slightly sore, and he sighed in his heart and did not say anything. After breakfast, Yun Chujo asked calmly, "Is there anything else you want to tell me?" "What else did the Prince Charming say?" That facial paralysis did not say much. He just told you to cultivate properly. Unless your spiritual power level has reached the 8th level of the spiritual space realm, do not go to Towering Sky Continent. He has already intimidated the Yun family, so he won't come to find trouble with you for a while. Yun Chujo nodded. "I'll remember it." Shui Wuji would rather see Yun Chujo cry to her heart's content. It was obviously not normal to be so calm. He recalled Yun Chujia's previous appearance and was very worried. "Little sister Jo, I understand your feelings. The reason why I told you all the things that facial paralysis did was to let you know that he has done so much for you. You must not let his painstaking efforts go to waste. You must not be impulsive and go to Atlas Continent. Brother Wuji, don't worry. I know what I should do. No matter what happens, I will cherish this little life of mine because there are still many things waiting for me to do." Yun Chujia's expression was neither sad nor happy, she said each word with a pause. "Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time." When Shui Wuji saw Yun Chujo like this, he became even more worried. How was this nothing? This was something big. He touched his nose and changed the topic. "Little sister Jo, why is there a small purple lightning in your eyes?" Yun Chujo looked at him blankly. "Brother Wuji, are you kidding me? Why is there a purple lightning in my eyes? Wouldn't that make me a monster?" Shui Wuji and Feng, there was clearly something, all right. Were they blind? Shui Wuji coughed. "Little sister Jo, what I said is true. Also, how did you get here? Didn't you encounter any powerful monsters?" Yun Chujia's eyes were even more confused. "After I was struck by lightning, I can't remember what happened after that. I guess it was because of De Hua and Little Flame." Shui Wuji and Enfeng looked at each other. How could they have lost their memories? "Little sister Jo, don't tell me you don't recognize us?" Yun Chujo looked at Shui Wuji as if she was looking at an idiot. "I just can't remember how I got here. I still remember other things." Shui Wuji found a reason to avoid Yun Chujo with Enfeng. The two of them gathered together and muttered, "Young Master Wuji, looking at Miss Jo, she seems to have forgotten everything that happened after the purple lightning appeared in her eyes. What's going on?" Shui Wuji rubbed his chin. "That's hard to say. Maybe it's a seal or something else. As long as she's not possessed, it's fine. My heart is aching, but if I don't give her some medicine, she'll really rush to Towering Sky Continent. If she wakes up with a paralyzed face, she'll definitely kill me." And Feng's eyes twitched. When His Majesty was around, this Wuji young master kept calling him Brother Beiming. Now, he was calling His Majesty paralyzed again. While the two of them were chatting, they saw a dazzling light flash past Yun Chujo who was sitting cross-legged. She had broken through. After a while, when Yun Chujo opened her eyes, Shui Wuji asked impatiently, "Little sister Jo, you have broken through?" Which level are you at? Fourth level of the ethereal space realm. Yun Chujiu was in a hurry to see Di Biming after she was struck by lightning, so she had been suppressing the spiritual power in her body and didn't break through. Shui Wuji beamed and said, fourth level of the ethereal space realm already. Little sister Jiu, you will soon reach the 8th level of the ethereal space realm. At that time, your facial paralysis will almost wake up, and the two of you will be together. Shui Wuji seemed to have thought of something when he said this, and he did not continue speaking with an unnatural expression. Yun Chuji's eyes flashed. Brother Wuji, is there something you want to tell me? Shui Wuji laughed dryly. It's nothing. You'll find out sooner or later. Although the enemies who are paralyzed in the immortal Yuan continent have been mostly dealt with, I'm afraid that it will be another tough battle when we reach the towering sky continent. When that time comes, the two of you will probably be separated more than together. Shui Wuji looked at Yun Chujiu worriedly after he finished speaking. The corner of Yun Chujiu's lips curled up slightly. Everything will be fine. It's just a matter of time. Shui Wuji was stunned. Little sister Jiu's expression was very similar to that of a poker-faced person. Could it be that one who gets close to the enemy is the enemy? In the next few days, although Yun Chujiu was quiet, she did not seem to be out of the ordinary. However, she spent most of her time staring at Di Biming, who was inside the ice wall, in silence. Shui Wuji felt that it was not a good idea to continue like this, hence, he advised, little ninth sister, it's useless for you to stay here. You should return to the primordial chaos sect. This way, when you are struck by lightning again, at least you will have a place to hide. Yun Chuji's expression changed slightly. She should indeed return to the primordial chaos sect because the sect was holding a banquet in the name of celebrating her becoming the last disciple of the two patriarchs. If she did not return, the primordial chaos sect would be disgraced. Moreover, Shui Wuji was right. Her priority now was to cultivate. She had to find a way to be struck by lightning and raise her spiritual power as soon as possible. After making a decision in her heart, Yun Chujiu nodded. Brother Wuji, you're right. I'll leave this place tomorrow morning and return to the Chaos Origin sect. I'll leave the Prince Charming to you and the little lunatic. Shui Wuji scratched his head. Little sister Jiu, look at what you said. Although facial paralysis isn't very likable, I'll still guard him well. If brother's injuries weren't completely healed, I would have sent you out. By the way, brother Wuji, little madman, I haven't asked you yet. How did your injuries come about? When we came here, we met some enemies with facial paralysis. Although we killed them, the two of us also suffered some injuries. However, it's not a big problem. We'll be fine after a few days of recuperation, Shui Wuji said casually. Seeing that Shui Wuji was unwilling to say more, Yun Chujiu did not ask further. She took out a lot of pills and talismans and handed them to the two for self-defense. Oh right, brother Wuji, did Prince Charming say anything about the Yun family and my father? Shui Wuji shook his head. You also know that facial paralysis is a man of few words. He did not mention much about them. However, the Yun family seems to be quite powerful. In short, it's definitely not a good thing to take you back. Yun Chuji's mouth revealed a trace of bitterness. The Mo family had brought her back for a profit, and now it was the same for the Yun family. It was the same for the Yun family, but the difference was like heaven and earth. Thinking of this, Yun Chuji's heart moved. She thought of the black bead. At that time, her grandfather, Yun Xiaotian, told her that only the Yun family bloodline could make the black bead recognize her as its master. At that time, she even joked that she should be of the Yun family bloodline. Otherwise, why would the black bead recognize her as its master? It turned out that she really was of the Yun family's bloodline. However, the Yun family of the Qing Xian continent should be a branch. It might have been because of some reason that it ended up in the Qing Xian continent. Yun Chujiu felt that in the dark, there were countless connections between things. She had suddenly disappeared when she was born. In the end, she was adopted by the Yun family who had a bloodline connection with her. After going around and around, her surname was still Yun. Was all of this a coincidence or was it deliberately arranged? When Yun Chujio came back to her senses, she saw Xue Wuji sitting not far away. He looked lonely and no one knew what he was thinking about. Yun Chujio walked over and asked softly, "Brother Wuji, what are you thinking about? Why are you so engrossed in your thoughts?" Yun Chujio had only asked out of concern. She did not expect Xue Wuji to be like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. He jumped up and said, "No, nothing. I'm not thinking about anything." Yun Chujio, what did he mean by confessing without beating him up? What did he mean by saying that there was no silver in this place? This was it. "Brother Wuji, I heard from my Prince Charming that you went missing for a day. When you came back, you were so happy. Could it be that you had some sort of sexual encounter?" It was rare for Yun Chujio to have the mood to joke. Xue Wuji's face immediately turned red. "Nonsense. What? What sexual encounter? That facial paralysis thought that I was him, so he went to take advantage of you for no reason." Bah! Yun Chujio looked at Xue Wuji with a faint smile. "Brother Wuji, your current appearance perfectly explains what it means to have no silver in this place. Tell me, what exactly is going on? I might be able to give you some advice." Xue Wuji's neck was red. "It's nothing, really nothing. Well, the weather is too hot, I'll go there to cool down." Yun Chujio looked at the 10,000-year-old ice on the ground and raised her eyebrows. It seemed that Wu Ji really had someone he liked. Although she had always wanted to leave Wu Ji's head to Chi Chi, she couldn't stop him from being happy, could she? Yun Chujio wanted to ask for an explanation, but Xue Wuji's face was flushed red. He kept looking for excuses, and in the end, he simply stopped approaching her. Yun Chujio shook her head. If she didn't say it, then so be it. She would find out sooner or later. Seeing that Yun Chujio didn't continue to question him, Xue Wuji leaned against the ice wall and recalled what had happened before. A few days ago, Di Baiming and the other two went to an abyss in the immortal Yuan continent to retrieve something. After the three of them killed the pursuers, Di Baiming went in to retrieve the item. Feng and Xue Wuji stayed behind to guard it. Since the pursuers had all been killed, and there were no demonic beasts around, Xue Wuji wandered around in boredom. Seeing the spirit bees flying in the distance, he had a thought. Little sister Jiu liked to eat honey the most, so he might as well save some for little sister Jiu. Thus, Xue Wuji said a word to Feng and leaped toward the place where the spirit bees were flying. To his surprise, Xue Wuji chased the spirit bees further and further away. He was already more than 100 miles away from where Feng was. Xue Wuji gritted his teeth. He had already chased them for so long, so he could not return empty-handed. Therefore, he kept chasing after them. Finally, when the sun was setting, Xue Wuji found the hive. However, he did not expect that someone had already beaten him to it. A woman was cutting the beehive with a knife. "Hey! Hey! Hey! Leave some for me. Don't take them all away." Xue Wuji shouted shamelessly. The woman turned around and saw that she was wearing a small mask. When she saw Xue Wuji, she paused slightly. Then, she looked at Xue Wuji coldly. "First come, first served. Don't you understand?" Xue Wuji froze on the spot as if he had been struck by lightning. Although the woman was wearing a mask, he would never forget her eyes and voice for the rest of his life. It turned out to be the woman, pervert, and wolf who ran away after eating it. Xue Wuji suddenly felt all the blood in his body concentrate on his face. His face was as red as a monkey's butt. He pointed at the woman in front of him with a trembling finger and said, You irresponsible woman, pervert, wolf." The woman's clear and cold eyes were stunned for a moment, but it only took a moment for them to recover. "If you don't have good eyesight, don't come out and embarrass yourself. I don't know you." After saying that, the woman continued to move her hands. She put all the beehives into her storage ring. Without even looking at Shui Wuji, she was only a shadow after a few flashes. Shui Wuji was stunned at first, then he chased after her relentlessly. Stop right there. You slept with me. Are you trying to go back on your word? Come back here. Shui Wuji quickly caught up with the woman and reached out to grab her arm. The woman nimbly dodged his actions and stared at him coldly. Are you done? Get lost. Shui Wuji felt his heart ache for no reason after hearing the woman's words. He roared, You cold-hearted woman. You don't recognize me after lifting up your skirt. Have you forgotten how you raped this young master? This young master has always been as tight-lipped as jade just to find you. How dare you treat me like this? Are you still human? The more Shui Wuji spoke, the sadder he became. His bewitching phoenix eyes were filled with an injured expression. The corners of the woman's eyes twitched slightly. Her voice was still cold, but there was a hint of mockery in it. Are you sure that I raped you? Back then, I was forcefully thrown onto your bed. Moreover, it was originally a consensual affair. I didn't even shout at a single woman. Don't you think it's embarrassing for a man like you to cry? Shui Wuji's eyes flashed with a trace of guilt. He hugged the woman's arm. I don't care about men or women. After all, you slept with me, so you're mine. I'm clean and pure, but I was slept with by a woman, a pervert, and a wolf. You must follow me in the future to make up for your mistakes. When the woman heard Shui Wuji's words, her cold expression seemed to crack. She looked at Shui Wuji with an expression as if she was looking at an ignorant child. It's impossible for me to go with you, but I can make it up to you. Tell me, what kind of compensation do you want? Do you want money, talismans, or pills? As long as it's not too much, I'll agree to it. As long as you don't appear in front of me again in the future. A fierce look flashed across Shui Wuji's eyes. Not going with him. That also depended on whether she had the ability to escape or not. The woman caught a glimpse of Shui Wuji's fleeting gaze. She could not help but sneer, I know what you're planning. I can leave this place at any time, but you can't keep me here. The reason I'm telling you this is because you once borrowed me and I once slept with you. Shui Wuji did not feel embarrassed at all that he had been seen through. He no longer continued to pretend to be crazy and foolish. A bewitching expression flashed across his eyes. All right, since you put it that way, it's very simple. Just let me sleep back. You're shameless. The woman's cold eyes were filled with anger. Obviously, she did not expect Shui Wuji to make such a request. I'm shameless? Who flirted with me back then? Who praised my good figure? With your flat figure, I'm the one at a disadvantage. Shui Wuji glanced at the woman, he said with slight disdain. The woman was so angry that she laughed instead. Flat from front to back. Even if I'm flat from front to back, I'm still better than you, an embroidered pillow. Shui Wuji, this damn woman was intolerable. The woman saw the coldness and madness in Shui Wuji's eyes and immediately regretted it. She took out a talisman from her storage ring and was about to activate it when Shui Wuji snatched it away. The woman had a bad feeling. Just as she was about to turn around and escape, she was restrained by Shui Wuji. The woman secretly hated that this damn man ran so slowly just now to confuse her. He was really detestable. Shui Wuji reached out his finger and took off the woman's small mask. When he saw the countless faces that appeared in his dreams, his heart palpitated. The woman saw Shui Wuji looking at her with infatuation. Her clear and cold eyes were a little uncomfortable. She said coldly, let me go quickly. Otherwise, once I regain my freedom, I'll kill you. Shui Wuji raised his phoenix-like eyebrows. You have to understand that you're now my prey. I'll decide how to deal with you. The woman snorted coldly. Prey. It's just that I accidentally fell for your scheme. Otherwise, it's hard to say who will win. Shui Wuji lowered his head and kissed the woman's lips. Originally, he just wanted to warn the woman, but he did not expect it to be out of control. Finally, Shui Wuji let go of the woman and raised his eyebrows. Although your figure is not that good, you can still barely enter my mouth. At this time, the woman could no longer maintain her cool. Her eyes were full of anger. Bah! You are just an embroidered pillow. What right do you have to comment on my figure? Shui Wuji's face suddenly darkened. Woman, you have questioned this young master's ability time and time again. It seems that I really need to let you experience it again. The woman bit her lips in annoyance. I was talking nonsense just now. I can give you whatever compensation you want. I can give you spirit stones, pills, talismans, or spirit tools. Shui Wuji curled his lips. In my heart, nothing is comparable to you. After saying that, Shui Wuji carried the woman and ran straight to a cave not far away. At this time, the sky had completely darkened. Although the woman was extremely vexed, she had no way to break free from Shui Wuji's imprisonment. She cursed angrily, you actually want to force me? Are you a man? I'll show you whether I'm a man or not in a moment. Don't worry, I'll be there soon, Shui Wuji said mockingly. At this time, Shui Wuji was very satisfied with himself. Damn woman. She wanted to run away after forcing him. This time, he would definitely take back what he owed her, and let her know what it meant to be a man. Obviously, the woman would not say anything soft or beg for mercy. She said coldly, fine, I admit defeat today. Just treat it as if I've been bitten by a dog. While cleaning the cave, Shui Wuji said faintly, bitten by a dog? There's no dog as handsome and extraordinary as me in this world. Woman, it's your fortune to be able to sleep with me for 8 lifetimes. The woman almost fainted from anger. How could this person be so shameless? Another small figure appeared in the woman's mind. It seemed that the upper beam was not the right beam, but the lower beam was crooked. When the woman came back to her senses, she could not help but be stunned. The originally empty cave was actually decorated by Shui Wuji in an extremely festive manner. The big red carpet, the big red quilt, and even the entrance of the cave were all sealed with a red cloth. In the middle of the cave, there was a table with wine, dishes, and even 2 lit red candles. Why did he have these things on him? Did he always bring these things with him? The woman felt a little strange, and then she laughed at herself. It was just a little trick to win a girl's heart. Woman, in my heart, you have been my wife for a long time. Today is our wedding night. I won't ask about your past or your background. You only know that you are mine. So, what's your name? The woman looked at the newly decorated cave, and her cold face was slightly flushed. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Let me go now. Shui Wuji was not angry at all, he raised the woman's chin with his hand. It doesn't matter if you don't say it. Anyway, you only have one identity in the future, and that is my wife, Shui Wuji. You're my woman, and you'll never be able to leave me. The woman saw the focus and deep love in Shui Wuji's eyes, and her heart trembled slightly. She subconsciously looked away and said coldly, I don't belong to anyone. Shui Wuji blinked his phoenix eyes and said, it doesn't matter. You don't have to belong to me. I belong to you. The woman clearly did not expect Shui Wuji to say this, and was momentarily stunned. Seeing the woman's stunned expression, Shui Wuji felt that she must have been impressed by his suave, handsome, gentle, and considerate manner. He had said it before. There was no woman in this world who would not like him, and this woman was no exception. As he thought of this, his face became a little smug. He raised his eyebrows and said, Woman, you're staring at me with such affectionate eyes. Are you convinced by my charm? The woman could not move, but her eyes revealed a trace of coldness. It's not dark yet. Shui Wuji was stunned at first, and then he became a little angry. So this meant that he was daydreaming. However, this anger quickly dissipated. Today was a good day for him to redeem himself. He could not be angered by a few words from this woman. Thinking of this, Shui Wuji smiled. I won't stoop to your level. Come, let's have a toast first. After that, you can scold me however you want. A crafty look flashed across the woman's eyes. She could not move her hands, so she naturally could not drink the toast. As long as this scoundrel released her shackles, she would definitely teach him a lesson. Shui Wuji had clearly thought of this problem. This damnable woman was as cunning as a fox. If she were to remove her shackles, she would definitely think of a way to escape. However, if she did not remove her shackles, how would she drink the wine? When the woman saw Shui Wuji's troubled expression, she curled the corners of her lips in disdain. Shui Wuji suddenly chuckled. When the woman was puzzled, she saw Shui Wuji take a sip of wine and then bend over to feed her the wine. The woman was both embarrassed and angry. How could she drink wine like this after exchanging a cup? Shui Wuji obviously felt that this method was really wonderful. In the blink of an eye, he fed the woman half a pot of spiritual wine. The woman's cold face gradually turned red. Shui Wuji hooked the woman's chin and said with an evil charm, Woman, after exchanging a cup of wine and drinking it, it's time to do something interesting. Perhaps because of the spirit wine, the woman's expression was not so cold. She said provocatively, Do you think I'm afraid of you? You're just a defeated opponent. Shui Wuji gritted his teeth. This woman could always easily provoke him. She was really detestable to the extreme. He would definitely let her know what it meant to be a husband. Thinking of this, Shui Wuji punched the ice wall beside him in embarrassment and anger. Damn woman. For some reason, that woman actually broke free from his restraint. When Shui Wuji thought that the woman would escape, she actually did not leave. It was exactly the same as before. Shui Wuji was too tired. Although he tried his best to stay awake, he eventually fell asleep. When he woke up, the woman was no longer in the cave. However, there was a piece of spirit stone on the table and a note under it. Shui Wuji was a little excited. Was this the address he left for him? Was she asking him to look for her in the future? He hurriedly walked over and saw only 2 words on the note, wages. Shui Wuji was so angry that he almost vomited blood. What the fuck? He was only worth 1 spirit stone. And it was even a low-grade spirit stone. Shui Wuji hurriedly left the cave. Naturally, he could not find any trace of the woman. He angrily shouted, Woman! Just you wait. The next time I see you, I will teach you a lesson. Unfortunately, his roar was in vain. The woman had long disappeared, so naturally, she could not hear his words. It was just his self-consolation. When Yun Chuzhou saw Shui Wuji leaning against the ice wall with a low-grade spirit stone, she could not help but shake her head and smile. This black-headed chicken was definitely in love. At this time, it was already very late. Yun Chuzhou crawled into the tent and stared with wide eyes, but she was not sleepy at all. When she thought of debaiming, tears flowed out again, and the pillow was soon wet with tears. She only fell asleep in a daze in the second half of the night. In her daze, she saw debaiming lying beside her. Little Jiu, don't cry in the future. You have to be happy. As long as Prince Charming is fine, I will definitely not cry in the future. Did you come out from the ice wall? Are you fine? Yun Chuzhou said in surprise. She reached out to hug debaiming, but her hand went through debaiming's body. She did not catch anything. Debaiming raised his hand to touch Yun Chuzhou's face, but he could not touch it. He sighed, there will definitely be a disaster when I unseal the seal. You don't have to blame yourself. After you go back, cultivate well and don't leave the chaos and killing sect easily. Do you hear me? Yun Chuzhou nodded desperately. As long as you're fine, I'll agree to anything you say. The next day, Yun Chujo did not come out of the tent until the sun was high up in the sky. Xue Wuji called out worriedly, "Little sister Jiu, are you all right?" Yun Chujo opened her eyes when she heard Xue Wuji's call. Although she already knew that it was a dream in her heart, she still felt a tinge of bitterness when she saw that there was no one beside her. She had woken up a long time ago, but she was unwilling to open her eyes because she had deceived herself that as long as she did not open her eyes, Di Baiming would not disappear and would always be with her. Yun Chujo was in a daze for a while, then she walked out of the tent. Xue Wuji saw that Yun Chuji's expression was gloomy, so he did not say anything. The three of them had breakfast, and it was time to leave. "Little sister Jiu, I will come and see you when my injuries are better. If anyone bullies you, remember that and I will avenge you." Xue Wuji patted his chest and said confidently. Yun Chujo nodded and winked at Xue Wuji. "Brother Wuji, remember to seize the opportunity the next time you meet someone. Don't regret it after they run away." Yun Chujo was just making a wild guess. She didn't expect that it would hit Xue Wuji's sore spot. Xue Wuji said with slight anger, "Che. Which woman wouldn't be entangled with me and beg me to keep them? Why would she run away?" Yun Chujo saw that Xue Wuji didn't point it out and just became curious about the woman that Xue Wuji liked. What kind of strange woman could bewitch Wuji like this? And Feng handed Yun Chujo a storage ring in embarrassment. Yun Chujo smiled and said, "It's for Beauty Jean Ji, right? Don't worry, I'll definitely bring it here safely." And Feng scratched his head and said, "Thank you very much, Miss Jiu. Actually, it's nothing much. It's just some things that I don't need." Yun Chujo glanced at him and said, "Don't worry, I'll definitely tell Beauty Jean Ji the truth. These are all things that you don't like." And Feng was anxious, I didn't mean that." And Feng saw Yun Chujo giggling and knew that he had been tricked. His face turned red and he laughed dryly. Yun Chujo turned to look at Di Baiming who was inside the ice wall. Her eyes turned red, but she raised her head and held back her tears. Crying could not solve any problem. She wanted to laugh and keep laughing. Yun Chujo looked deeply at Di Baiming who was inside the ice wall. She smiled and waved at Xue Wuji and Enfeng before walking towards the entrance of the bottomless ice abyss. After walking for a while, Yun Chujo saw two level 45 bloodthirsty snow wolves in the distance. Yun Chujo pondered for a moment. Level 45 was equivalent to level 5 to level 6 of the spiritual space. Although it was higher than her spiritual power, it should not be too much of a problem for her to deal with two of them. Just as Yun Chujo was about to release De Hua to accept the challenge, she saw the two bloodthirsty snow wolves run away. Yun Chujo was stunned. Something must have happened. Perhaps their mother had called them home for dinner. After walking for some distance, three level 45 bloodthirsty snow leopards appeared in front of her. Yun Chuji's heart tightened. Three of them might be a little troublesome, but she should be able to escape if she gave it her all. Just as Yun Chujo was thinking about it, the three bloodthirsty snow leopards seemed to have seen a ghost and disappeared without a trace. Yun Chujo touched her nose. She reckoned that they had gone home to eat. This fellow continued to walk forward, and 5 more bloodthirsty snow tigers appeared in front of her. Yun Chuji's heart sank. 5 of them would be difficult to deal with. It was extremely cold here. Her spiritual pets had no way of resisting it, unless she let Meng Yanshou weave a dream. But what if there was an even more dangerous situation ahead? Why not wait and see? Just as Yun Chujo was debating whether to release the Meng Yanshou or not, she saw the 5 bloodthirsty snow tigers run away as if they did not care about their lives. One of them even tripped over itself. Yun Chujo, she finally realized that the demonic beasts were afraid of her, that was why they were scared away. But, why were they afraid of her? Did she do something before? She shook her head. She had no memory of what happened before. So, she asked the few in the spirit beast bag, what happened before? Meng Yanshou said eagerly, "Little fairy, before you came down to the bottomless abyss, Xiao He and the others could still contact you with their spiritual sense and see what happened outside. But ever since you came down to this bottomless abyss, they couldn't see anything. But previously, when you were in the ice field, a lot of purple lightning appeared in your eyes, as if it had the effect of bewitching demon beasts. In the end, when you fought with the ancient Ice Long, the little lightning in your eyes even flew out. Little fairy, you must be someone with a great background. How could such a talented person like you be an ordinary person?" Yun Chuzhou automatically ignored the nonsense that Meng Yanshou said and frowned. There was a purple lightning in her eyes? She could even fly out to attack. What a joke! Wouldn't that make her a demon? However, the demon beasts that Yun Chuzhou saw next all avoided her from a distance. Moreover, they seemed to be afraid of her. Yun Chuzhou had no choice but to believe that when she came, she must have displayed a terrifying strength, otherwise, these demonic beasts would not be so afraid of her. Forget it, regardless of whether it was a demon or not, it only needed to become stronger. However, how could she make the purple lightning in her eyes come out again? This fellow stared until tears flowed down his eyes, but the purple lightning did not come out either. The nightmare beast said eagerly, "Little fairy, I guess that the purple lightning will only come out when you have a great fluctuation in your emotions." Meng Yanshou looked at Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou thought for a moment and felt that Meng Yanshou's words made sense. Every time the cat cub was seriously injured, it would only return to its fire-eating Xiao appearance. Her current situation was probably similar. She had to be extremely angry or extremely sad to trigger the purple lightning in her eyes. Damn it, she had heard of dejected ecstasy and soul palm before. Could it be that this was dejected ecstasy and soul little lightning? You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.